NCL's Norwegian Getaway may not be the biggest or the newest ship in Norwegian's fleet, but it still packs a lot of fun into a ship that feels more classic, and in most areas, it's been kept in really good shape. But if you're booking this expecting a big observation lounge like you'd find on NCL's Breakaway Plus ships like Bliss or Joy, or you want a huge, wide open pool deck with tons of space, you might be disappointed. Today I'm going to cover the food, the theme parties, some tips on how to find a quiet escape, and if you stick around to the end, I'll give you my top 5 getaway tips, little shortcuts that'll make your vacation smoother. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brad. My goal is to help you get the most out of your vacation with honest trip reviews, guides, and real-world tips. If you'd like more videos like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Let's dive right in. One of the biggest reasons I think Getaway is still a great ship today is the waterfront. My favorite thing about it is how close you feel to the water. It sounds simple, but it changes the whole vibe. You can park yourself with a coffee or later a drink and just watch the water go by. During the day, it's one of the chillest parts of the ship. It's quieter, there's fewer people, and it's not loud. No band blasting, no big party energy, it's just calm. This is also a killer spot at sunset. Even if you do nothing else, just doing a waterfront lap at the golden hour is amazing. And at night, the lighting out here is really great. It feels cozy and kind of elevated, like the ship is designed for an evening stroll. Now, if you've sailed a Breakaway Plus ship like Bliss or Joy, here's the one thing you'll notice. Those ships tend to have way more deck chair seating in these outdoor promenade-style areas. On Getaway, there are fewer of those spots to just chill in a deck chair. There's more dining and eatery tables, so if your goal is to grab a coffee and just relax, you might have to hunt a little more for space. But even with that, the waterfront is still one of the best parts of this ship, especially if you're traveling solo. It gives you that quiet space that's almost always available. And that matters because Getaway doesn't have a big observation lounge like you'd find on ships like Bliss or Joy, so your hangout spaces are very different. So with that in mind, if you've sailed on NCL's Breakaway Plus ships like Bliss or Joy, one of the biggest missing pieces on Getaway, there's no big observation lounge. On Getaway, I felt that most on a sea day. There just isn't an easy place where you can sit indoors, spread out, and get those front of the ship views. Honestly, the closest thing I found to that front view feeling was up in the Vibe Beach Club. So instead, I kind of built my own version of it. I'd hang out along the sides on the waterfront, and I'd also spend time back in Spice H2O in the rear. Those became my go-to areas to get away from the crowd. And I do think the ship feels that missing space in a subtle way. Because the observation lounge is a big bar and a giant seating area, so without it, the atrium could feel a bit more crowded, and some other bars would also get to be a bit more crowded, especially at peak times. Now, it's not a deal breaker, but it changes the flow. Getaway still works really well, especially if you like being outside. But if the observation lounge is your favorite feature on newer NCL ships, just know you're not getting it here. Now let's hit the fun stuff. Getaway still does a great job with nightlife. And first, we gotta talk about the ice bar. Cause yes, Getaway has an ice bar, and it's as weird as it sounds. So here's the deal. It was $15 and you get 20 minutes, and it also includes 2 small drinks. Visually, it's really awesome. The whole place is ice, walls, sculptures, the whole vibe. It's one of those things that's just generally fun to do. You can sit in this ice throne thing, and I'm not gonna lie, it was way colder than I expected. You're not casually hanging out in here for a long time. Now the drinks, for me, they weren't super great. They're fine, but you're not doing this for a craft cocktail experience. So my honest verdict, this is a fun one and done. Worth it once for the experience and the laughs, especially if you're with some friends, but not something I'd feel the need to repeat every cruise. And once you've thawed out, let's talk theme parties. One thing Getaway still does really well is the nightlife, especially the theme parties. I went to the Glow Party, the 80s Party, and the Latin Party, and the energy was genuinely great. And honestly, the 80s Party might have been my favorite, but maybe that's my age talking, but it really was a fun crowd. These parties are usually in Spice H2O, so once you know where to go, it's easy to build it into your night. The DJ was great, and here's the key. It gets busy early, and then it thins out as the night goes on. So if you want that full big party energy, show up early. If you want more space to dance and not feel packed in, come a little later. And even solo, these are easy to do. You don't need a group, you can jump in, dance for 20 minutes, grab a drink, and bounce. Alright, let's talk food. Now food is very subjective, but overall, I enjoyed every meal I had. For dinner in the main dining room, I really enjoyed the herb chicken. It was solid, it was comforting, and I'd order it again. And the standout dessert for me was this honey creme brulee. If it's on the menu, I'm ordering it. Breakfast in the main dining room, if you have the time, I think it's a better experience than the buffet. Not because the buffet is bad, but more because the main dining room breakfast lets you actually chill before you head out, especially if you're in port and you don't need to rush off the ship first thing. On a sea day, I did brunch at the buffet, which worked great for a morning where you just want to roll out of bed whenever. Now, LeBistro was the best specialty meal I had on the sailing. It has this elegant, darker French vibe that feels like a real night out on the ship. The French onion soup was excellent, but the star for me was the pork chop. That was one of those meals where you take a bite and immediately think, yeah, I'm glad I paid extra for this. And the dessert, this marquis au chocolat, was really great. The service was excellent too, and for me, LeBistro was absolutely worth the extra cost. Now Cagney's, the steak was good overall, but service felt pretty slow when I went. I enjoyed the food, but the experience wasn't as strong for me as LeBistro. So if you're only picking one specialty meal on a short sailing, I'd pick LeBistro over Cagney's, no question. I do want to add a little more about the honest solo angle because this is one area where cruising solo can feel the most awkward. In the main dining room, the trick is simple. Ask for a table by a window or against a wall. It feels less like you're in the middle of everything. And the other thing I want to tell you, just remember, no one really cares. Everyone's in their own world. Now, after food, the other paid add-on that really mattered for me, especially on the sea day, was the Vibe Beach Club. This was one of the biggest quality of life upgrades on the sailing. I paid $129 for the entire sailing, and on Getaway, I felt that value immediately. Because the regular pool deck gets really crowded, and on these older Breakaway-class ships, part of it's just the design. It's not a huge, wide-open, modern pool deck, so when it's busy, it feels busy. Vibe was the total opposite. It was empty and quiet, and there was always space to chill. The loungers are upgraded and padded, and it just feels calmer the second you walk in. And I always found a spot in one of the hot tubs. There's dedicated bar service up here too, and that matters. There was never a line, never a wait. Grab a drink, sit down, and relax. And the views from the front of the ship were a nice bonus, especially since Getaway doesn't have that big observation lounge you'll find on the newer NCL ships. So for me, if you care about having a quiet space, and especially if you're cruising solo and you want a place that feels like your own little spot, Vibe was absolutely worth it. Alright, next up, I want to hit on a few things that are solo specific, since this is a big part of why Getaway still works for solo cruisers. I stayed in a solo studio. This was cabin 11529. It's about 99 square feet, so it's compact, and there's no real window, just this frosted hallway window, so it's basically maximum darkness. But for a short cruise, it works as a simple home base to sleep, shower, recharge, and go back out and enjoy the ship. Also, a big bonus to booking a solo cabin is the studio lounge. This is keycard access only, and I used it pretty much daily, especially in the mornings and the evenings. There's a 24/7 espresso coffee machine, it's the perfect place to reset, and it's also one of those places where solo conversations can happen naturally. If you'd like the full deep dive on the room layout, storage, and all the cabin details, I've already got a dedicated solo studio cabin review. I'll link it here and in the comments down below. One of the biggest surprises for me on Getaway was how well the ship flows, especially for an older ship. In the buffet, there was plenty of seating even on a sea day. The atrium also felt open with lots of space to move around, so even when the ship was busy, it didn't feel like constant bottlenecks. Now the places that did get crowded were the casino area and some of the bars. Those can really pack it in. But what I like is the Waterfront helps with that. It pulls people outside and spreads the ship out, so it doesn't feel like everyone is trapped in the same few indoor spots. And for a ship this age, it was in really great shape. I didn't see any broken furniture, worn carpets, rips, dents, none of that. Everything worked. The only wear that really stood out to me was this little rust area around the bottom of my shower, but it really wasn't a deal breaker. Now, the biggest older ship reality is still the pool deck. This is the older Breakaway-class style layout, so when it's busy, it feels tight. Alright, so before we wrap this up, here are my 5 top getaway tips. These are quick, but they'll save you time and make the ship feel way less hectic. Tip number 1, if it feels crowded, use the Waterfront as your escape valve. If the bars feel slammed and the ship feels busy, don't force it, grab your drink and head out to the Waterfront. It spreads people out and it instantly feels calmer, especially during the day. Tip number 2, pick your main dining room based on the vibe, not the menu. All 3 main dining rooms share the same menu, so choose based on the experience. The Manhattan room is bigger and can handle larger groups, but it tends to be louder. Taste and savor are usually a little calmer. Tip number 3, use the alternate free dining options strategically. 2 underrated complimentary options are the American Grill and Shanghai's Noodle Bar. The Noodle Bar is free, but it usually needs a reservation, so don't assume you can just walk up. And with that in mind, tip number 4, make your day 1 reservations as soon as you board. On day 1, go to Headliners and knock out your reservations early, especially if you want Shanghai's or if you're trying to build your night around shows and parties. And tip number 5, avoid the peak rush on a sea day. On a sea day, do one small thing that avoids the peak crowds. Eat breakfast a little earlier or a little later, then build in a quiet walk around the ship, like going to Waterfront or Spice H2O. That makes the whole day feel less chaotic. So, final verdict, is the NCL Getaway still good over a decade since her launch? For me, yes, with some asterisks. Book Getaway if you want a ship that's fun and well maintained, even if it's not the newest, biggest thing out there. The theme parties are well done, the food was good, and you love having the waterfront vibe where you can actually chill close to the ocean. Maybe skip it if you're coming from NCL's Breakaway Plus ships like Bliss or Joy and you really need that observation lounge style space. Or if you're sensitive to crowded pool decks and want a bigger, more modern layout. Or if you mostly cruise for big wow spaces because the ship is more about the vibe and flow than the wow factor. If the price is right, I'd absolutely sail Getaway again, especially for a shorter trip where I'm out of the ship and in port most of the time anyway. Now, if you'd like to see my full trip review of the Norwegian Getaway, including an awesome walk around Nassau, I've linked that video in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on board again soon.